Hello and welcome to today's coverage of the King of UEF Tournament. This action went down on the 16th of April 2016 and our finalists are Meffy, currently ranked number 9 on the ladder, and the venerable and ever so cheesy Zlo, who is rated at number 8. So, we're going to find out whether these guys are the right way around on the ladder or if there's a little bit of an upset on the cards. Now, of course, this is the King of UEF Tournament, which means every single game is UEF versus UEF. Sorry, Cybern fans, no Beetle snipes for you tonight. Alright, like I mentioned, this is a showdown between two highly rated players on the Forged Alliance Forever ladder, and well, it's come down from a field of just 8 in the King Tournament. We're going to get down and see how these two finalists are going to get on for the crown. In fact, you might have heard UEF described as the noblest race by certain casters around here, so buckle up and get ready to find out who is the King of Kings. But first, let's take a look at the road these guys took to get to the finals. Our finalists actually faced each other in the first round of the tournament on the ever so crafty map, Craftiest Maximus. You might be asking how they can both be in the finals. Well, it is a double elimination tournament, which means after your first loss, you head down into the loser's bracket and you have a chance to redeem yourself. If you lose again, you're out, but if you can stay alive, then you'll end up in the finals, and that's exactly what happened here. In Game 1, Meffy was able to grab naval control early and deny a good chunk of Zlo's mass on the seafloor, but Zlo held on by taking all the mexes protected from naval fire on the islands. Map control was even, but Meffy was able to seize air control, giving him the ability to use gunships. An overextended ACU from Zlo got into trouble from Meffy's gunships, and he wasn't able to retreat to air cover, chalking up the first win to Meffy. In round 2, Meffy found himself up against Base Drop on Forbidden Pass. With Base Drop at a severe rating disadvantage, Base Drop kept up with early bombers. He managed to stay ahead of Eco for the entire game. Well, Meffy once again played for air superiority and he stayed on top of the game. Well, yeah, Base Drop did some nice raiding, he got map control, got eco advantage, but an overextended ACU with no air support lost him the game to ghetto gunships plus regular gunships, putting Meffy through to the third round. In round 3, Meffy found himself on Desert Planet 2 and was faster out of the gates than Jagged Appliance to secure the expansions and continued his trend of a strong air game, allowing him to harass engineers all the way back in the starting location with T1 bombers. More excellent raiding kept Jagged Appliance behind in eco. Both players pushed at the same time on opposite sides of the map, but Meffy makes a count by taking out Jagged Appliance's T2 power gen. While Meffy loses a few mass extractors, the trade is well worth it. Jagged Appliance goes for a pillar drop, but, well, Meffy's gunships mop them up, leaving Jagged Appliance in a very forward position without a lot of backup. Jagged does manage to deny a gunship snipe with his flak, but a stack of pillars and Lobos move in and finish him off, putting Meffy through to the finals. Down in the losers bracket, Zlo's first opponent was Taquito on Standing Stones. We all know how Taquito loves his beetle snipes, but unfortunately this is a UEF tournament. Zlo was able to secure his expansions faster to gain an advantage, constant raids hampering Taquito's efforts. Taquito pushed hard up the centre, but he wasn't able to pin down Zlo's ACU for a kill, and he succeeded only in leaving enough reclaim to get Zlo to T2. These guys jockeyed for map control, but the eco advantage Zlo had from holding the centre mixes got him significantly more firepower, and a final confrontation in front of Taquito's base sent an already weakened Taquito out of the tournament. The next player standing in Zlo's way was Nexus of Reality, currently rated 25 on the ladder, and the map was Paradise. Nexus of Reality was faster to take his expansion, which left Zlo trying to catch up. So what do you do in this situation? You walk across the map and you start reclaiming your opponent's base. Nexus of Reality had the same idea and started eating into Zlo's base, but Zlo managed to get enough of a defense online to force Nexus of Reality back into the water on critical health, and a final lucky Lobo round manages to take him out, and that is GG. Next up for Zlo was Destiny Potato, also known as Bloodeer on Salt Rock Colony. Bloodeer is currently number 6 on the ladder, so he is above Zlo, but these guys usually play Cybern, so all bets are off. Bloody is able to capture the north for an eco advantage. Both players pass each other as they head towards opposite bases where both ACUs get down into the yellow and they're forced into the water. Zlo was losing the land battle, but he managed to pin down Bloodier's ACU in the water between torpedo launchers and pillars waiting on the beach. So another ACU is caught out of position and he goes down, sending Zlo through to the next round. In the last game of the losers bracket, we saw Zlo up against Jagged Appliance, who was fresh from his defeat by Mephi. And this time they were on Theatre Passage 5. A very early ghetto gunship was great to see, but building it and a quick upgrade to T2, well, that meant Zlo was running behind in mass and unit production. The early pillars though made their mark and took chunks out of Jagged Appliance's eco. Jagged Appliance pushed the centre with his ACU hoping to break through, but he was met with overwhelming force and was quickly dispatched, sending Zlo through into our finals. And that brings us up to the point where we need to see Mephi and Zlo duke it out for the title of King. So, let's get planetside and see how these two guys are going to fight it out. Alright, here we go. We are now in the final round of the King of UEF Tournament. We are watching Zlo and Mephi, and they are fighting on Pelagial. So we're going to see how this goes down. It's a lot more of a naval map than we've seen so far. So we'll have to find out who's the best with UEF Navy. Alright, let's jump in and have a quick look at what's going on. We've got Zlo in the top. He is going blue, and he is throwing down his first land factory. We can see he's going to grab those first three mixes and then head back down to the hydros. So we can expect a rush for the hydro and then probably an air factory. Let's go and check in with Mephi and see how he's going. And we've got an almost identical build order. Well, in fact, I think there would be a few millimeters perhaps difference and where those guys have placed their moves. So very much identical with that opening. Let's have a look at how they're getting on with that hydro progress, and there's a bunch of PGNs that's going to go down after that hydro. Quite a lot of power there for Zlo. He's actually cancelled one of those PGNs, and that's going to give him an air factory after that. That's going to give him enough to get some interceptors, transports, and bombers online, and we'll see how he manages to make use of those. Well, we've got quite a heavy power build going down for Mephi. A lot of build templates being employed there, and he's got, well, room for up to 6 factories. I'm not sure that he's going to get through all of that build, but that's pretty nice to see him planning it out, and, well, I'm not sure where he's quite going with those, but we'll see how he gets on. We are going to look a little bit for expansion. So these guys, we're expecting to really get expanding engineers out. They might be waiting a little bit for those first transports, but we can see some of the orders going down. There's a bit of manual reclaim, heading out here, grabbing that mix, and then carrying out to the island. So he's going to grab a few more mixes, and then just carry on. He's actually got an attack move out here. Perhaps he's thinking about using that to put down a naval factory after that engineer finishes its queue. In terms of expansion for Mephi, we can see there's a little bit going out to the islands immediately there, and not a heck of a lot. He's obviously waiting for the transport. Both these guys will be rushing transports as soon as they can. Well, there's a scout at the moment, and there goes a transport coming out. So he's just going to try and get a little bit of info about what Zlo is up to, and then he's going to get that transport online and bring some engineers over to one of his expansions. Well, no guesses where it'll be. It's going to be over this way. Alright, let's check in with Zlo. He's going to have a transport. Well, that's nearly complete now, so no first scout for Zlo. That puts him a wee bit ahead in terms of the building time, and he's going to have that transport out first, and he's got a bunch of engineers crowded around here. They're all waiting to be moved by that guy. Let's see how long it takes them to pick up. There we go, 4 of them, and a little scout from Mephi over here. So Mephi is going to be aware that Zlo is just a little bit ahead with that transport, and there it's just come online for Mephi, and we can see he's got his engineers sitting around, and they're going to get picked up and move out. Now the ACU has just been given a move order, so he's going to walk all the way down to this expansion here. So that's going to make it a little bit harder for Zlo to take that island, because there's going to be an ACU defending it, but conversely it makes it a little bit easier to take his main island because there is no ACU there. We can see the transport coming in. First he's dropping for the hydro, so it looks like he's really interested in grabbing that energy, and then he's going to spread those engines out, would be my guess, and take the rest of those mixes and get the eco that that island, the taking of that island offers. we've got one interceptor out for Meffy now, so he's going to try and get that transport. So I'm not sure how well this is going to work because Zlo already has one interceptor online and he's a little bit ahead. So his engineers, all four of them, are spamming up that hydro that's just about done. That's going to be done in just a second. And in contrast to that, Meffy's got, well, he's starting with a land factory and he's going to get the hydro a little bit later on. So he's maybe focusing the mixes just a little bit more than the power. And, well, the power is actually neck and neck. The power's actually neck and neck right now because they have gone, well, as soon as I say that, of course, it was actually reclaim, and we can see those pulling ahead. So I did expect a little bit more in the way of power for Meffy, but it looks like he hasn't actually got all of this online yet. So there we go, it's drawn back into line. So that's with the completion of that hydro. That is down, and he's now started on his land factory. So starting to secure the islands. Not a lot in the way of naval build yet. So neither of these guys slapping down a naval factory just yet. They probably don't quite have the mass. They're focused on getting the expansions out, getting everything built that they need to, and, well, they are not yet focused on wasting any of their mass on getting the navy up and running. Nice little bomber there, takes out a single engineer. Of course, there is a factory down, so the bomber, well, it can factory lock it just a little bit, but it's going to be really hard to dislodge Zlo from that island now with just T1 bombers because he can just keep building more out of that factory. Alright, and a couple of interceptors going up there. Well, it's a whole squad of interceptors from Zlo. They easily dispatch that bomber, and that is no longer. So how are we looking for map control? Both players have gone and so they've started occupying the islands, but Meffy is actually quite a way ahead on capturing the mixes on those islands. If we look at the eco incomes, though, well, Zlo is sitting on 35 at the moment, and Meffy 35. So they're actually neck and neck, even though Zlo is maybe a little bit behind on taking that island. So, wow, this is why, because he's being really cheeky. He's flown an engineer all the way out there, and he's captured that mix from Meffy. So, quite cheeky there. Once Meffy takes that back and says, no, this is rightfully mine, that will even out, and Meffy will be slightly ahead, and, well, there's reclaim figures in there we can't really see just yet, but it looks like Meffy is actually getting quite a decent lead in terms of mass generation. And, well, he's got a transport out here, but it's flying past a crowd of interceptors. Not the best move. Whoops, he's heading back. Has Zlo picked up on that? No, he hasn't. So he's dropped the engineer just to make sure he survives. And, well, nothing from Zlo, no response at all, so he must have missed that. So, well, a little bit of a slip up there. He's not spotted that, even though he did fly a scout plane right past and would have been able to pick that up on radar, but he's actually just missed that. So we've got another bomber heading up here. So Meffy really just trying to hamper the expansion. He knows if he can just block the engineers from grabbing the rest of those mixes, it's going to put him at maybe a 10 mass advantage, and that's reasonably significant. That's going to get you T2 mix upgrades, that's going to get you T2 factory upgrades, and maybe even commander upgrades. So he knows he wants to try and retain that, but we've got something a little bit crazy on the cards, and, well, I'm not sure about you, but that doesn't surprise me, because Zlo is playing this game. So, what do we have? We have a ACU in a T2 transport. He's moved his interceptors in just to lock down the air, and he's got enough support there, and there's only a few interceptors. They're not going to be able to chew through the health on that T2 transport, and Zlo is going to be able to drop. So he's obviously seen that Meffy's ACU is all the way out here by himself, and has said, well, I might actually just hop on into that base and take it for myself. So that's exactly what he's doing. He's gone in there. Meffy is responding by throwing down land factories. They're going to be spewing out T1 artillery, because those guys are going to be able to take out the T1 PD that Zlo is throwing down, and they just do generally quite a lot of damage, and the ACU does have to keep moving, otherwise they're going to take all the alpha strikes, and with Lobos, that's 500 per shot. It actually doesn't take long to eat through the health of an ACU. So, well, we'll see how Zlo deals with this. He has already got that one PD online, and it's just gone down to Lobos, so a little bit of a problem, and, well, there's actually one online for Meffy now, so that's, yeah, not looking the best for Zlo, but he's still got a lot of health. Meffy doesn't maybe have a lot else on here, so Meffy's actually been throwing down some T2 mix upgrades, so that's where his mass has been going. If we go over and look at Zlo's base real quick, we'll see he's done nothing in terms of mass upgrades, so that's over 2,000 worth of mass that Zlo has got, that Meffy's spent, which is not really doing anything for his combat capability right now. So we can actually see Zlo's really, really cheeky here. We don't expect anything else, of course. And he's come in here and he's captured those factories. So, oh, and the hydro as well. So just to steal a little bit of power away from Mephi, just because he can, he's gotten in there and he's making Mephi's starting base his own. So Mephi's going to have to figure out a way to respond. He has thrown up some PD down here, which will stop Zlo from really walking through here with his ACU. But Zlo can now put together T1 artillery, and those T1 PD are really not going to cut it. So what is Mephi's response going to be? He's got nothing much. He's got no air. In fact, Zlo's got some T2 gunships. So once you finish that T2 factory to get the transport out, well, he's just said, what can I do with that? I'm going to make some gunships. So he made some gunships. So, well, this is becoming quite a serious incursion now. So he's taken out the... Well, I mean, he's taking up the power. In terms of power, Mephi is falling behind now. In terms of mass generation, Mephi is, well, he's still doing pretty well because he's got those T2 mixes online already. But I don't know how he's going to stop this. He's got some frigates. They're not going to be able to reach into the island far enough. I don't think he's going to be able to do enough. He's just about to lose that factory, and that's just a little bit more mass into Zlo's coffers. I don't know what Mephi can do here. He's, Zlo's puffing up a radar, so that's going to tell him where everything is at on this island, and he's going to be able to see exactly what Mephi is doing. He'll know that there's PD there. He knows he can take that with his Lobos. I don't think Zlo should be too worried about what to do now at all. I don't think he's got T2 and, well, actually, does he? Yeah, of course he does. He's got T2, so he can throw up triads as well. So Mephi really running out of options to respond to this, and gunships just continue to spew out from Zlo's base. He only needs the mass for building a few PD with his commander, and, well, a bit of chat there from Mephi says, well played. So, and that's it for Mephi. What are we at? We're at 9 minutes 50. Okay. Not the biggest final in the world. Quite a short final, really, especially for a reasonably sized map with Navy involved, and you might have expected that to go a little bit longer, but Mephi has just jumped out of that one, and that's given it to Zlo. I mean, yeah, there was not a lot he could do to fight back from there. So, you might think that, well, that's it. No, it's not it, because Mephi, that was his first loss. So, he did beat Zlo back in round 1. That means he is still in it, and they are going to have one more game. Winner takes all. And here we go. So, one more game. This time it is on Point of Reach. You might recognize this map. I know I sure do, and I hate it. Most people don't really like this map. It's quite a difficult map to play. It has got a lot of islands, a lot of different things to focus on, and you have to worry about Navy. Yeah, not the best for some, especially for me. Alright. Let's get into it and have a look at how these guys are going. So this time, Zlo is down here on the bottom. He has thrown down his first land factory. He is going to get his core mixers, and he's going to head out towards that hydro. So he's going for another hydro rush without building any PGNs first. Let's look at what Mephi is doing, and we have pretty much an identical build again. So these guys have played the same maps, and they've got the same build orders. So we're going to see who's going to come out on top. And we're going to, well, just like the last game actually, we're going to see first transports, who can get out to the islands and who can take those out with interceptors. So there's going to be a little bit of a rush. It's always a balance between getting those interceptors out and getting the transports out. If you get an interceptor, you can potentially take down the transport, but you have to be able to find it. And it can be a little bit hard to find it on a big map when you don't have any intel. So let's see how these guys are getting on in terms of getting their power build down, and we can see a little bit of reclaim after that. So Zlo just deciding he needs a little bit more on the way out to grab that next mix, and there's a little bit of a spot for a factory to go in there, so they're going to throw down some more PGens and then get that air factory online. Hopefully it's not too long, because he does need to hurry and make sure he gets that air factory as soon as he can to get that always essential transport. We can see Mephi now, he's got a couple of PGNs queued up. I think it's maybe one less than Zlo. And then he's going to put his, his air factory down. And he's focusing more on the air factory than he is on the mechs over there. So he's grabbing a little bit of extra power with this engineer. He's on an attack move out of the factory. Of course, that does give the phenomenal range. I was going to say build range, but it's not build range, it's only the reclaim range. So now there's 2 engineers with their fantastic range pulling in power, so that's going to help him get that air factory online just a little bit faster because he's not building quite so much in the way of PGens. And let's just check out how Zlo is doing it. He's got that extra PGen online, and he's just finished that first air factory. That means he can start building that first transport, and again, just like the last game, that puts him a little bit ahead of Mephi in terms of getting that transport out. So that's coming about a third done, and well, there's not much in it this time because no scout first. That means Mephi is only just a fraction behind Zlo on getting that transport out. We're going to see them then go and pick up engineers, and we're going to look at which islands they're going to head out to. So we've got nice crowds of engineers ready to be picked up by a transport. And well, let's just see whose transport pops up first. Well, actually it's Mephi. He's got a little bit more assistance on that. He's got that out, and on go the engineers. So he's got a full load, well not quite full, but a pretty substantial load of engineers, all headed directly out to this expansion on the right hand side. So he's going to take that, he's going to get those extra mixes, probably the hydro fairly quickly, and maybe use this as a little bit of a staging point. We can see Zlo has actually got his transport out. The meta is pretty much always bottom player goes to the left and top player goes to the right, and we can see the transports, well, neck and neck at the moment. Zlo does have a single interceptor out, so he was next on the factory queue was interceptor for him, while for Mephi it was intel. So he's gone for a scout, and he's just flying that over to see how Zlo is getting on. He's maybe hoping that he's going to be able to spot a transport and give it a attack order with the interceptor that he's just built, but unfortunately for him there will be none, and he will see only a second air factory going online. So he knows that Zlo's gotten out, and well, very much neck and neck, these two guys landing. We can see again, just like last time, Zlo has gone straight for the hydro, so he's prioritizing the power. He's getting all of the build power down onto the hydro, and nicely we can see he's just spreading them out a little bit. We can see little move orders there. Well, those three have just spread out just enough so that a T1 bomber would not be able to take them all out in one go. Of course, if you land all your interceptors and immediately start building, they are really clumped up. A single bomb will take them all out. So he's got 3 engineers focusing on that hydro, and another one out here to get the mixers. We're probably going to see a little bit of factory-ness go down, but not yet, so we'll see when he starts doing that. And Mephi's actually gotten a factory down really early. That's going to really help secure the island against bombers. If a T1 bomber did come in, he would be able to get those 3 engineers very easily, a second pass to get the other one, and the only thing that would be keeping him still on that island would be this factory. So that's quite important. He's actually getting a second one down, so it looks like he's probably interested in getting a little bit more of a land presence on that island, and he did use the transport to drop off one of the engineers on the other side just to make it that little bit faster to grab the mixers on the island. We saw last time actually that Mephi was a little bit better at grabbing the extra mixers on the outlying expansions, and Mephi was just able to get a little bit more coverage with those engineers in a little bit of a shorter time span, and he did leave Zlo behind in the eco game just a little bit. So Zlo is, well, he was relying last time on a really cheesy strategy. This time, I wonder if he might be going for the same thing. So he, well, we never see him upgrade his mixes. We probably wouldn't be seeing any mix upgrades just yet. And if any of them were, well, we've actually got one underway already. So Mephi just deciding to invest a little bit of that mass. He's probably playing a little bit like he did last time. So we're going to see what happens. He's probably going to be a little bit wary of T2 transports now. So we might hope to see quite a lot in the way of scouts going overhead, and he's going to be looking out for that T2 air factory. So have we got anything T2 on the way? No, Zlo is so far just building interceptors, but we can see he's gone quite heavy on the air production. So he's got 4 factories. That's a lot of power to run those 4 factories. So Zlo is investing very heavily in the air game. He may be hoping to control the seas with air, like we've seen in the past, where he was able to knock out the ships with enough air power. It doesn't always work, but it can do. So we've got a little transport. So of course Mr. Zlo is very cheeky. He was going to get across there with an engineer on a transport, but he decided to scout it first, and in this case it paid off because he found a clump of interceptors and he managed to avoid that. And very cheeky, once those interceptors go chasing those scouts, he's actually going to hop straight in there with that with that transport that he left behind, and he's going to go in there and take it. So very cheeky stuff. We wouldn't really expect anything less from Zlo. In terms of the eco game, Zlo is sitting on, well, it says 83 right now. That's going to be reclaimed, so 72 maybe is a little bit more accurate figure, to 63 for Mephi. So Zlo actually managing to do a little bit better in terms of capturing eco, and that might be down to the expansion here that Mephi has not managed to secure yet. Yeah, well, neck and neck. It's really not too far. We can see 71 and 73. That's a little bit more like it. So these guys really are not too far different in the eco game. In terms of power, there's only about 80 difference between them. So neck and neck, and a little transport out there, and he's going to just hop down there, grab the mix there, and then go off and grab these. And well, that's a nice cheeky little drop there, and he's probably hoping to grab some of those before Zlo gets it, or a little bit of capturing afterwards. So nice play from these guys. They've secured their islands. We are sitting at 7 minutes 30, and well, there's a nice little incursion there. So 6 strikers, and those are easily going to take out that engineer, and they took it out just a little bit. We can still see a few little build lines just hovering over that factory, so very close to being done, but they were able to deny that, which is actually really handy for Zlo, because that means there's not a lot on this island. He does have another factory going down here. It is going to complete before Zlo will be able to get to it, but nonetheless, that is a really good raid and very much hampering Mephi's expansion. So Zlo, we've got quite a decent eco advantage right now with that reclaim. Still, he's sitting on a pretty solid advantage. We might be seeing that he's playing a little bit more of the eco game this time. Yeah, we can see there's T2 mixes, so he's already got a couple done. The third one is on the upgrade there, and he's starting to throw down some naval factories. So it does not look like we're going to see a repeat of the com drop from last game, but Zlo looks to be going for a little bit more of a long-term eco game. We've got another little drop here. So Zlo doing a really nice job of just getting in everywhere he can and just causing as much trouble as he can. Of course, with these units on patrol from Mephi, a clump of 6 strikers is going to be able to do quite a good job at just eating through those one at a time. So he is going to have to be a little bit careful. We've got the last couple of strikers from that raid coming over here. They did manage to take out the engineer, so another excellent effort there to hamper the efforts of Mephi to secure this island. Well, he's actually split it up. He sent some of those strikers over that way and a few this way, so doing an excellent job, and he's got enough air power over that island to really secure it, and Mephi's really struggling. I'm not sure what Mephi's going to do to take this island back. He's got a good clump of interceptors, but I'm not sure that would be quite enough to gain air control over Zlo. And now Zlo is actually grabbing the mixers on that island, and he's starting to expand a little bit into Mephi's territory. We can see that nice clump of 6 strikers there just running through, taking out units as they go. Of course, when you have a stream of units, you end up with basically 6, or depends on how many can come into range of at once, but a whole lot of units coming into range of 1 at a time, and you take that out without taking much damage at all. So Zlo with these 6 is going to be able to destroy a lot more than 6 units by taking them out 1 at a time. So a very good deal for Zlo. And what have we got here? We have got a T2 transport with Mephi on board. That is unusual. It's the kind of thing we might see from Zlo, and we did see from Zlo, and well, unfortunately he's just gone straight over the top of a scout. So Zlo has probably picked that up, and he's pulling into his back here. Mephi is bringing all of his interceptors down. We can see how the height of that island is actually interfering. When we look at it, we can see that the interceptors, and well, it looks like the transport might have to as well, they really have to adjust their height, and they're quite slow, and that means that they're sitting almost stationary for quite a long time, and that really is not a good idea. Now, I don't know what Zlo is planning here, but he's moved all of his interceptors well away from Mephi's ACU, so not a lot of risk to Mephi right now. I'm not sure if Zlo was really able to see that that was happening, but here we go. Mephi is dropping down right in the middle of Zlo's base with his 4 T2 mass extractors at his core, and he's going to throw down some PD. So, well, looks like he's just taken a page out of Zlo's book, and Zlo is doing the exact same thing as we saw last time. He is throwing down land factories and starting to spam up Lobos. So those Lobos are going to be able to come down and eat through the T1 PD, and the Alpha Strike on those, if the ACU does not move very fast, they are going to be able to eat through his health in quite short order. A little bit of a counter for the T1 PD going down here. Hopefully, from Zlo's perspective, that's going to be able to take it out. Well, actually, that is doing a nice job, and especially with the Lobo fire, that is really going to eat that away. So Mephi, well, he's not actually got a heck of a lot of advantage just yet. Last time we saw Zlo in, Zlo was a little bit slow to get started, but Mephi is actually getting shut down. He tried to build another PD and it got destroyed straight away. So I think Mephi realised that this island, well, because that went out of his hands, he was going to have a really hard time. He was getting out-ecoed by Zlo, and that's not something that you want. So he's decided he's going to go for a comm drop, and we're going to see if that's going to work in his favour. Of course, this is a winner-takes-all, so whoever comes out on top with this is going to take the tournament. Now, well, ouch, Mephi is down into the yellow, and there's T1 bombers as well. So I'm not sure what happened to Mephi's Air Force. Well, there's not a lot. They are running through the interceptors. They are going to die very quickly. So now Mephi is finding himself down into the yellow, 9,200 hit points. He's got T1 bombers on him. He's got a large crowd of Lobos. I don't think he's got the backup, the eco, to be able to do this. And we've got, oh dear, for Mr. Mephi, we've got destroyers. So now we've got cruisers and destroyers online for Zlo. There was absolutely no way Mephi's going to be able to do that, and he has opted out, so he's not quite going to let Zlo eat through his HP. And yeah, having a destroyer on one side of you, Lobos on the other, plus Zlo's ACU was just off the water here, so if he needed it, he could bring it in for a little bit of extra backup. There was really no need though, because Mephi was not able to do enough damage, not able to get enough PD online, and Mephi bows out of the game. So there you have it. That is the king of UEF, and your king is Zlo. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys in the next tournament.